I will say that this video definitely got me into wanting to know this franchise. So shout out to Seth the programmer, and shout out to the comment section for asking me about this, because I will say that this video definitely got me into knowing more. Alright, what's good, y'all? So I've been asked to check this out. This is a different kind of versus. By the way, I will say this, I react to a lot of verses. I love one versus another and see who wins. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but who cares? It's just fun. But this is a little different. This one is a little different. I said in my comment section every time I do a versus video to let me know in the comments what other verses you want me to check out. I was led to this one. The reason it's different is because the title is the character who can solo your favorite series. That is interesting. And it's also, I don't know who these characters are. I'm about to figure out now. But I am very interested in seeing the character who can solo your favorite series. So basically just better than everybody. I don't know who this character is. We're about to find out and see what's the hype about her. But yeah, let me know in the comments too other verses you want me to react to. Even stuff I don't know. Like this is the first one where I don't know who a character is. I don't even know what universe this is, what franchise or whatever. So we're about to figure all that out. And then we're going to figure out why is she that strong. So let's see here. By the way, shout out to you in the comments for giving me different suggestions. I have a list of different verses I'm doing. So if you don't see yours that you requested soon, don't think I'm ignoring you. It's just, you know, there's a line not just for verses, but other stuff I do as well. But anyway, let's see what this is about.
Fate, often considered to be one of the most convoluted and
what's it called?
expansive anime. Fate, often considered to be one of the most convoluted and expansive anime to ever exist, has convoluted and expansive anime powers. Who would have thought? But many people don't know just the level that this reaches and why it makes most of the most famous powerhouses in fiction actually seem like nothing in comparison.
Wait a minute, did you see that? It was Superman,
Goku. Know just the level that this reaches and why it makes most of the most famous powerhouses in fiction actually
had him looking nervous over there. Dang. Oh, you got, I just noticed you got SpongeBob on the bottom there. That's funny.
Servants in Fate are usually based on mythological entities or concepts brought to reality by an omnipotent wishing device.
Shoot. I'm sorry. I usually do this in the beginning. I always like, if I react to somebody's channel, I always want to make sure I give them the credit. Shout out to Seth, the programmer. Let me go ahead and like your video now. So yeah, Seth the programmer. I'm gonna put the original video in the description. But yeah, if I react to videos that somebody else made, I'm gonna put their information first and give them a shout out. So my bad. This is the first time I didn't do it right at the beginning.
Known as the Holy Grail. These servants are usually capable of destroying almost entire armies on their own, changing the fate of the world, and destroying pretty much anything on it. Some of these characters reach levels of godhood and form the very foundations of humanity, wisdom, power, and many other things. Saber, being the most popular servant, obviously is the one I wanted to focus on, and while she may not seem like an extreme god tier threat even within her own series, like maybe Gilgamesh or something, she does in fact actually scale to these entities and is considered a top representative of their universe. A big roadblock with scaling Fate or Saber, and difficulty with me explaining why Saber would absolutely destroy Goku, Superman, SpongeBob, or whoever the is that servants in Fate are heavily restricted in what they're actually allowed to do when they appear. Not necessarily in their power, even though that can be the case, but their effects on the environment or planet are limited to a level that you wouldn't see in a normal show. For instance, in Dragon Ball, when Vegeta wants to blow up the planet, he can, right? He has enough power to do it. Nothing's stopping him. Same goes with Frieza or Kaguya from Naruto or Superman from DC or Yuha from Bleach or literally SpongeBob SquarePants with a string. But in Fate, destroying a planet or something requires more than it would take to destroy a planet, because the planet itself is actually protected by a higher entity that restricts these omnipotently born servants from impacting its fate. And it's kind of the name of the show. This is because of a phenomena called the counterforce, which is basically the will of the earth itself that defends it. Good proof of this, outside the obvious I just showed on the screen, is that we actually see servants in other media, all media being basically canon for Fate. I'm not joking. The mobile game, every video game, every visual novel, anime, it's all canon. Being able to fight entities that can literally become larger than planets and use them as Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. These servants from these games actually scale to the ones in the show, sometimes being even weaker or stronger, but that's just sort of a basic level breakdown. Servants can easily destroy fortresses, mountains, and fight crazy godlike beings that can easily destroy a planet. But Nasu, the author of the Fate verse, goes a step beyond that, into a level of bat crazy for no reason that unironically makes Saber one of the strongest characters in all of fiction.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for, because I've heard other people can do that. What they just said, what he said earlier.
Cthulhu, Eldritch deity and not an anime girl. Well, some of these anime girls are actually pretty much Eldritch deities, but it's confusing. Anyway, the baseline for strong fate scaling is usually considered to be around when a character named BB is introduced. BB is a backup AI programmed by another character named Sakura that is so powerful that it can hack into and manipulate reality itself. The way it does this is by hacking into and absorbing a construct called the Moon Cell. And the Moon Cell is a supercomputer often considered on the level of the omnipotent Holy Grails. And this supercomputer's purpose is to record all things that have ever occurred and can manipulate the laws of physics, view the past, present, and future of the universe, and even culling dead parallel universes entirely from the multiverse. BB then obtains all these abilities by breaking into the final barrier of this moon cell, which is 8th dimensional in nature. As a reminder, our universe is 3 to 4th dimensional, and anything beyond 5th would view us as fiction or non-existent in comparison to it. BB not only reaches this 5th level, but the 8th dimension by doing so. BB is then later defeated by the servants in Fate Extra, which would be Saber Nero, Caster Tamamo, Archer
I ain't gonna front all this extra stuff that he's talking about, you know, with the power scaling and all that, what he just mentioned earlier. I'm trying to catch up with it, so when you see me quiet, I'm putting 2 and 2 together. I say, okay. I mean, he's making it easy, shout out to him, but yeah, there's sometimes I was like, wait, what? Oh, okay. So when you see me just sit there like this, I put it together. I'm like, oh, all right. Because sometimes I can get lost in this with all this breaking down and letting know the earth science and all that other stuff. So yeah. If you see me quiet for a second, I'm just trying
Saber Nero is
make it make sense.
Weaker red Artoria, which is later proven in Fate Extella when Artoria is summoned into the war between Red Saber and Tamamo from the Moon Cell to stop them. Even if she isn't stronger or weaker, she's at least relative enough to face these servants that possibly halted the plans of an 8th dimensional reality warping entity. Normally, my skepticism would then kick in here, and I would say, what if this 8th dimensional construct is a barrier literally made with 8 separate dimensions acting as a wall rather than 8th dimensional mathematical concept or principle? However, when you read all of Fate's materials, you'll begin to see that its author and the many characters do mention actual dimensional theory quite literally many times, meaning it's actually in Nasu's knowledge and ability to then write these mathematical concepts without a lot of headcanon or assumptions involved. Example, the very first mention of dimensional theory is in Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero, which I'll show on the screen now, and these two are the first fates ever. So Nasu has known about these theories for a long time. Nasu is known for doing a lot of research on the history of his servants and characters as well, and Plato is literally a servant who kind of, made things like Platonic concepts, etc. You get it. Anyway, heroic spirits ascended to the throne of heroes, which resides within the swirl of roots, or Akasha records, and the root is basically so complex and above all else that the author believes that even describing it in any concept or terms is actually doing it a disservice. He actually believes that there is no way to word it without even downplaying it. It is always just blank or beyond our comprehension entirely. Beyond the concepts of space and time, beyond concepts, pretty much period, even outside of the story, it can't be explained. So these servants then born from it can do crazy things, or even trying to tap into it can also do crazy things. Who would have thought? But Saber's only purpose was not to stop the servants from fighting after BB when she was summoned by the Moon Cell. Her true purpose was to stop a being known as Safar, who's kind of like Fate's Galactus. The same servants that defeat BB could only barely scratch Safar, while Artoria as a servant is considered on a completely different level, and she simply Excaliburs Safar away in numerous timelines. Safar, in her avatar body known as Altera, swings around the Sword of Mars, which is stated to be the embodiment of the concept of cutting, which will become important for these servants in the next point. One thing Saber actually does that might be a little mind-blowing and potentially, it caught me off guard when I researched into it, unintended, because of how absurd it is. Do you remember when Saber fought this guy? He's kind of a nothing character almost, right? Very overshadowed by characters like Hercules and Gilgamesh inside the 5th Holy Grail War. But what if I told you this dude himself would probably slam any version of Goku ever thought of in existence? This guy, with a very unique swordplay of his that Saber can counter somehow. And I don't know how she does this, so don't ask. She's just that plot amped and broken.
Okay, hold on. Let me go back because I know he's saying that can one-up Goku and all that stuff, but I need more clear. Well, I ain't gonna say he's not clear because I ain't going first. Some of the stuff he was just explaining, I feel like I was in school again. I had to sit there and think like, okay, so all right. And I think because I don't know this franchise as it is, it's going to be, I'm a little bit slower with understanding. And that's fine. I can be a little slower at understanding stuff. This might be, I mean, we're going to finish the whole video. Maybe it'll be brought down to English terms or more simpler terms. I'll put it that way when the video's done. But yes, I'm hearing that they're stronger than Goku and them and all the dimensions and all that stuff. But I've heard, all right, I'm still waiting for that factor. I still haven't heard about that yet. Yes, from what he's explained, from the little bit I've got understood, they are pretty strong. But what is it that could just destroy every franchise? You know, because that's you know, those are big shoes to fill. And I need more than just he can one-up Goku. Maybe I missed it. I'm going to hear it again.
Research into it, unintended, because of how absurd it is. Do you remember when Saber fought this guy? He's kind of a nothing character almost, right? Very overshadowed by characters like Hercules and Gilgamesh inside the 5th Holy Grail War. But what if I told you this dude himself would probably slam any version of Goku ever thought of in existence? This guy.
Yeah, I just need to know how, though.
Of his that Saber can counter somehow. And I don't know how she does this, so don't ask. She's just that plot amped and broken, which is what I'm trying to tell y'all. But this technique known as the Tsubame Geishi breaks the rules of reality and allows Assassin Kojiro to disregard the concepts of space and time entirely via applications of something called the second true magic, the multi-dimensional refraction phenomenon, more commonly known as the kaleidoscope. The true magics are different to standard magecraft as they are only obtained by maguses who have touched the root itself, the thing that made all thing, that is beyond all things. And while fighting this assassin, Kojiro is on such a different level that the visual novel describes Kojiro's slashes as being beyond Saber's ability to literally perceive attacks from the future. And I'll go into that a little bit more later in the speed part, but after he uses his true skill finally, which is beyond the concepts of space and time, she actually survives 3 slashes from him. He's not even trying to spare her either, and is clearly slashing her on a level that should insta-kill her, that she survives somehow. So I don't know how to explain how she survived, but take that as you will. That is a thing that happened. I think it's important to bring this up because if you were to say have a Bleach character try to slash at Saber, yet she can survive 3 slashes beyond the very concepts of space and time, beyond an infinitely dimensional scale, then they would literally just never be able to do anything to her ever. Now, like I said,
but
I'm not sure how
DBZ characters move in that sense as well. Yeah, because I mean, hearing some of this stuff, I'm impressed, but I've heard it from Superman's comics, and like Superman went pretty far, and I learned something new with Iron Man. I did a verse reaction on that, which that video will come out soon, and I learned something new about him with all the different power scaling, and Dragon Ball Z got a lot of power scaling too. So I'm impressed what I'm seeing here, but not enough where I'm like, okay, she can take out every franchise. But I know somebody's probably like, well, watch the whole video. So I'm going to watch the whole video.
Flashes, but like I said,
we're just halfway through. I wanted to give a little bit.
Saber is actually suppressed during this encounter.
Hold on.
As her
We'll give a little commentary.
It was for her body to remain intact from literal outer versal slashes. But like I said, consider the following. Saber is actually suppressed during this encounter as her sword is invisible, which nerfs her sword's power and her own as she has to focus on the technique. But later, she rematches Kojiro, and Kojiro tries to do the same 3 slashes again, which, by the way, is further confirmation that her body somehow tanked these beyond dimension slashes from cutting through her body all the way or decapitating her. But even when she activates her sword, she is able to outspeed the attack, which has already been thrown 3 times, or she is perceiving it now in the future, even though it is beyond time, but he does swing it at least once and she outspeeds it. Remember, this slash is beyond the concept of speed entirely, meaning she just outsped the concept of speed, meaning anything bound by speed might not even be able to ever touch her. How stupid is that? And this is originally because in the visual novel,
instant transmission, or what's the speed in a...
when you use this attack. However, in the anime that Nasu approves of, there is no indication.
So speed, like instant transmission from Goku, because one thing I liked about instant transmission was you saw more of it in detail when he fought Metal Cooler in Return of, you know, that movie, The Return of Cooler. That speed wouldn't match this. I know the regular speed of like a Super Saiyan or whatever, but instant transmission was different. That was way elevated. That wouldn't compare to this. Or Flash speed goes, I mean, we know what he does. That can't compare to this or even match it. Again, I could be missing a point here that he's talking about because I'm a little confused. But as impressive as that speed is, something in me is like, I've seen that before. You know, with Goku, Whis, with Flash, so on and so forth.
He has the same nerf. So that was probably an oversight, but it's kind of a nasty one. Before we get into her speed, there's one last discussion with her attack power that has to be discussed before moving on, that being Artoria with Avalon and her battles against Gilgamesh's Aya and his noble phantasm Anima Alish. This is significant because
his
Aya
what? See, this is why I'm a little confused.
Before moving on, that being Artoria with Avalon and her battles against Gilgamesh's Aya and his noble phantasm Anima Alish. This is significant because Aya is described numerous times as being able to destroy all of creation, which is described as the world. Now, this wouldn't include Root, as Root would be beyond the world, as the world is just Earth. That Root is clearly above, as it's above every universe, timeline, or whatever that has Earth in it, but regardless. The short answer, Excalibur isn't really ever comparable to Aya without special conditions. Excalibur only enters the pinnacle of noble phantasms when it's in a situation where its purpose as the last phantasm of the planet comes into play, against an outside danger that threatens the world itself, basically making her amped by the same force that I described earlier that makes the planet able to withstand attacks from higher dimensional servants without exploding all the time. In Fate Stay Night, when Excalibur and Aya clash, the most famous of these clashes that make most people comment on this in general is Gilgamesh was clearly taking it easy while Artoria was desperately struggling, even calling the clash of their powers boring before easily eclipsing her power and then defeating her. Artoria was only able to overcome Gilgamesh in this route by basically catching him off guard with Avalon. Another counter to Excalibur being on par with Gilgamesh is Artoria summoning in Fate Extella, where she should be stronger to stop the war between Nero and Tamamo alongside the destruction of Safar. And the only other servants that are suggested to be on the same level or grade as Artoria are the other two kings from Fate Zero, Alexander and Gilgamesh. And we see this more powerful version of Saber and a more serious Gilgamesh face off once again, with the result being similar as their first fight.
See, I don't know these matches. I've never seen this.
Gilgamesh's victory.
I can't relate to, like, yeah, I remember that. I remember that battle.
Capable of facing entities such as Tamamo, as previously mentioned in Extella. This same Tamamo from Extra, who has the ability to, while weaker than the version Saber can apparently deal with, casually run backwards in time like a Looney Tunes character to train herself to beat someone she was weaker than. Tamamo basically trained for 1,000 years, and after regaining her power via growing back all 9 of her tails, she proceeds to run back in time and proceeds to just kick the moon cell and shuts it down and stops it from erasing the protagonist of the game. And even with this, Saber is considered more scary than her, and is pretty much the trump card servant in Extra or Extella outside of like Gilgamesh or something. Due to this, it may be highly likely Artoria can face beings that can pretty easily just travel through time with speed, and even BB was able to manipulate the past, present, and future at the same time with her abilities, yet couldn't negate the servants she was facing. That alongside that Kojiro slash she can somewhat react to, apparently, that is beyond the concept of speed, kind of makes you wonder. Now that we've established her stats, some unique abilities she possesses are things such as the ability to erase things from existence with her attacks, including concepts themselves.
So that's like Hakai with Dragon Ball.
Concepts.
So,
stats.
all
Some
right.
unique abilities she possesses are things such as the ability to erase things from existence with her attacks, including concepts themselves, even beings that represent these concepts. Best example of this is the demon pillars from Fate
That's
Grand
like
Order,
Hakai, though,
which
in
are
Dragon
just
Ball.
literally living concepts, and every single servant can pretty much mess these things up. She also possesses Avalon, which is the sheath of her sword, which withholds a 6th dimensional realm, and she can immediately transport herself to whenever she wants. That can't be followed into without 6th dimensional or above manipulation. It also grants her insane regeneration, which can regenerate entire vital organs, like when Shiro regenerates his entire heart, or when Kyoritsugu gets absolutely obliterated and just comes back like nothing happened. So she is pretty much unable to die as long as she has this Avalon. Outside of Avalon, she possesses the ability to passively absorb and take souls from people's bodies, kind of like a Bleach Espada, to regain her powers. So even ghosts or spirits would be susceptible to her almost infinite stamina in her presence, but she could also destroy concepts of them to begin with. Due to her luck stat, she is able to nullify causality and even manipulate fate itself to her favor, and this is best shown with her fight versus Lancer in Stay Night. Lancer throws his Noble Phantasm known as Gaebolg. This Noble Phantasm manipulates causality so that once it's activated, you are already stabbed by it even before it is thrown, which gives the illusion it always lands after being thrown when it has already landed. But due to Artoria's luck stat and ability to manipulate this, she can actually deflect an attack which is literally just appearing into her heart instantly somehow. This luck, alongside her instinct, pretty much always directs her to the optimal path in combat, even when things are supposed to happen no matter what. She also shoots giant anime lasers, which is no joke. Out of everything listed here, stated to be her most powerful ability, somehow. Stronger than the ability to erase concepts, fight on 8th dimensional levels, fight beings that can run through time, have a 6th dimensional regeneration or teleportation. Nope, shooting the laser is apparently stronger. That's the scaling of Artoria, or Saber, from Fate. Do you guys kind of believe me now that she can pretty much take anybody in fiction? Really, only a handful of people could ever really fight her, as you would need a very niche or particular description of abilities to actually be on that level. And it usually takes something, you know, like DC Comics, which has been going on for almost 100 years, or Fate, which has so many different mediums of information, to eventually just reach such an absurd level where it says something crazy like that. So it's not that much of a shocker. But as someone who loved these anime a while back, it was really interesting learning that she was actually capable of all that, and I was pretty surprised. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video.
That was a lot. And I'm not even gonna lie. A lot of it, I didn't understand. Like, the biggest thing I don't understand is, yes, I mean, with all the stuff that was explained, I've heard some of these descriptions from DC characters. From Dragon Ball, every one of them, no, but I gotta rewatch that, but without the reaction, because like I said, I don't want, this video's already almost 30 minutes, and I didn't expect it to go and stuff like that. Plus, I think it kind of did me a disservice because I don't know this anime at all. I've never heard of it outside of today. But I'm curious. I'm curious what the comments have to say. First one here with 3K likes. The first comment says the title should be "Why Goku Steals Solos." Wait, hold on. Facts. She don't beat Goku though. Goku could be in base, have his intelligence in super, holding back, have the heart virus, and not fighting to kill, and he would still ironically slam Saber into the dirt. Dang. So the comment section don't seem to agree. Hold on. He slams the whole verse in base. Then, oh wait, then somebody said then he wakes up. Okay, so wait, somebody is alright against that. Oh, this has the most likes I've seen so far. Hold on, wait. It's almost 5,000. So come on, Seth. Just tell us that you like Saber and she's your whatever that is. I'm not in any way am trying to say that Seth made this video because he's fanboying. Some people just can't take the joke. I'm looking at you. Wait. Okay. Anyway, these attacks are beyond comprehension. How? They just are. How does this make them more powerful? Well, they have to be. They're beyond comprehension. Why? Because they say so. I mean, here's the thing. at this point, you know, honestly, at this point, and there's some other verses I did that had me learn something about Iron Man that made me just be like, okay, if you go to an author of a franchise, they're always going to find, well, not everyone, but some of these franchises are always going to find a way in comics to scale these heroes to levels that are beyond comprehension. You know, maybe the author did it for this, but then if you go to Dragon Ball, somebody, a Dragon Ball fan, is gonna be like, well, Goku or Beerus or this or that, and then you go to Marvel, well, Iron Man did this, and DC, well, DC, Batman did this. Batman is not even stronger than Superman, but he was still able to do all this because in this world, in this dimension, and this. At the end of the day, after a while, it can get a little congested. I ain't gonna front. I felt hearing like this stuff, I was like, okay, hold on, back up. I wanted to say back up so much, y'all. When you saw me just sitting like this, I wanted to say back up. Let me go back and hear that again. Let me hear that again. So, did I learn a lot from this one? I'm not even going to front. This is my first verses. I was like, I'll just take your word for it. I don't agree or disagree. I'll put it that way. Because I've heard some crazy things in Dragon Ball that I could say maybe could be, you know, this universe. I've heard some things Superman did. I've heard some things Iron Man did, so on and so forth. So I guess at the end of the day, the fans is going to like what they like. So is she better? I can't say yes or no. Honestly, I don't think it's fair to y'all, because if I give an answer here, it's not fair, because I don't understand. I didn't understand some of this stuff. And yes, he explained it. Like I said, it's nothing on him. It's my knowledge and me catching up to this stuff, because I'm also coming in as a newbie. I'm a virgin to this franchise. So that didn't help at all either. So I'll let y'all in the comments explain. Yeah, my head was filled there. I'm gonna keep this video up because I want to look more into it. It is interesting. Like, I want to know more about the I will say that this video definitely got me into wanting to know this franchise. So shout out to Seth the programmer, and shout out to the comment section for asking me about this, because I will say that this video definitely got me into knowing more. And maybe my answer will be different. But for now, do I believe that she's better than every franchise? I can't say yes or no. I can't. And you know, is it my fault? Sure, I'll take it. You just don't understand. You're right. I'll take it. You know, this is the first one, but hey, sometimes it is like we jump. Like, that's how it is. I literally just talked to a friend who doesn't know DC comics. I had to explain to him some things, and he was like, "I'm gonna have to take some time to understand." I said, "That's fine. You're new to this, you know." When me and other DC fans talk, we know what we're talking about. But the other ones who are new, they're like, wait, go back. He did what? Isn't Batman human? How did Batman do that? Okay, wait, hold on. Wait, he beat Darkseid how? You know, stuff like that. So that's how I'm feeling right now. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. This was a lot, but it's, you know, it's all fair. But thank you so much for tuning in and leading me to this video. I do want to know more about this anime. But I'll check y'all later. See ya.